Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 352. Learn from your opponents. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello, and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sega Brabinovic, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been training teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with the team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Welcome back to the show. Hopefully you are enjoying the World Cup. It is now Wednesday. I had a pretty long and busy week, so I'm only recording now. I normally record on Monday or Tuesday, so it's been a very hectic weekend, hectic week, and just a lot of stuff going on. But luckily still been able to watch the World Cup, and let's talk about the weekend, what happened. A lot happened, and we'll start off, as I always do, on Saturday with our 2013 team. 2013 team, we played another team, and I'm starting to just really see a trend with the way youth teams are playing. There's really no 1v1. It doesn't really exist. What I'm seeing is a lot of one-touch, two-touch passing, quick passing, and it's really teams now really just working on first touch and moving the ball. Very rarely do we play a team and I'm in awe of a single player. Usually it's just, they kind of pass through us and end up scoring. So that's kind of been the trend, and that was the trend this weekend with our 2013 game on Saturday, and then also our Sunday game, which I'll talk about as well. Our older team, our 2010, they played okay. We ended up playing a team that, again, weaker than us, and they just kind of kicked it up and all that, which is really tough to do, I think, in 5v5. They ended up grabbing our 1-0 win. We had no subs as well, so that was interesting. But again, I think what's been great about the 2010 team, the later game that night, is that it's very consistent that we're in the game. I haven't really played a team that has absolutely destroyed us, that played us off the field. Like, that hasn't happened. And I think as long as we're continuing these games where it's close, I'm pretty happy with that. This is a mix of 2010, 2011 players. A lot of our 2010s are off playing hockey now. So it's not our true 2010 team. So as long as we're competing every game, I'm pretty happy with that. And it's also giving our 2011 a really good experience playing up a year with what I would say are pretty average teams that we're playing against. We're not playing against, any of the best teams in Ontario by any stretch of the imagination. Sunday for me is where things kind of get a little bit interesting. I really like the Sundays because the Sundays are different than what I've been used to. And I'll tell you why. It's different because this is our first year with the 2014-15 team. So this is the first time they're playing. So, for example, with the 2013s, we've been doing 7v7 for years now. I've been playing with this 2013 and 2010 team and 2011 players for a long time. So it's something that we're kind of used to at this point. So there's a lot of really trying to understand the players a little bit more with the 2014s, seeing where they're excelling, what positions they're excelling, where they need work. And that's been really interesting, especially when you'll have to get into as much detail as I do within games and within individual players. So we're really starting to see which players are a good fit for which position, and then at the end of the games, we're always making sure to put them in different positions to try and give them awareness of kind of what else is going on. So you always have, especially with the kids being some of them 8 years old, some of them even 7, being like, I want to play forward. And then they play forward most of the game. And then at the end, you say, okay, now it's time to go defense. So you can kind of see a different perspective of it. That's just been a really fun. The fact that we're playing in Division 3 really gives us the ability to try new things, and that's what we're going to be doing this weekend. I really want them to try and move the ball a little bit more because the teams that we're playing against just really aren't able to defend us 1v1. Like, it's not even a challenge for these players. The challenge for our players comes in practice. That's what I've always believed, that our practice are 10 times harder than the actual game simply because those 2014s are playing up with a lot of our older players. So for me, I really want to try and get them to understand how to move the ball from side to side, keeping their positions where they should be at all times, resetting the ball. And it's really cool to start using different phrases with these younger kids. We're talking about hot potato, right? When the goalkeeper and the defenders have it, let's play hot potato. Move that ball as quickly as we can from side to side. And we've started to do things that I haven't done for a very long time. For example, making sure that before we score in practice, we're doing 10 passes, right? And the reason behind that is so the players can understand where they need to be, right? It's not necessarily for quick decisions, which it helps with, which is something that we're actually working on with the older kids. It's more for understanding the formation and where they should be and how they should move in relation to other players. So really enjoying them at the moment. There's no point in talking about the score and the rest of the game. We're playing the same 3 teams, so we're going to be at around 7-2 every single game. So I'm just not going to bring that up any point. It's not important. Next is our 2011-2012 team. And this is also really interesting for me because it's 9v9. And we haven't really played 9v9 at a high level. We played 9v9 outdoor with our 2010s and our 2011s. So 2011s have that experience of playing 9v9, but the 2012s don't. What was really interesting is we played a team, and most of the time we play against a 4-3-1, which is what we play. Very rarely do we play against teams that have switched up formations. So this weekend we actually played a team that played a 3-2-3 or a 3-4-1. And that was really interesting for me. Let's talk about the game first of all, and let's talk about me and why that's important. So here we go. My throat hurt this whole weekend, so it was a lot of me trying not to talk during the game, rest up my voice. As I'm sure you can hear from my voice now, it's still kind of recovering. I think as a coach, your voice is always recovering, right? Hopefully that's not just me. So I was quiet until 2 things happened. One bad tackle, 2, another bad tackle for our players, and I absolutely lost it. I've said this before, and I will say it again, I'm sure. I will not yell at the ref unless I think my players are not being protected, are not safe. So I absolutely unleashed it. I yelled more than I have in a very long time. At the ref, I screamed, actually. And it was intimidating, and I did that on purpose. If you can imagine kind of the situation where I'm sitting there not talking at all, barely saying a word, and then out of nowhere screaming right at the ref. I went on the field too, and obviously got a yellow card. But the point was clear: keep my players safe. That's something that I will always do. People can disagree with it, and I'm sure there are people that disagree with it. There's a lot of things going on with, have to protect the ref. We have to be nice to the ref. All these things, we have to let the ref coach the game. I agree with all those things, right? What I don't agree with is when the ref doesn't do their job and keep my players safe. That's really what I care about going into games. I have no problem Absolutely no problem if the games are physical. We love that, actually. But there's a different type of physicality that just shouldn't be allowed in the game. And for 2 calls in a row for that not to happen, I needed to make sure he understood that the point was you need to keep them safe and you need to start watching the game. So that's just my philosophy on it. I don't like to get into calls, right? So I won't really yell at a coach if it's a handball, if the ball was out. Kind of, maybe at times, right, I'll say something, but I don't yell about those things. What I do yell about is when I feel my players are not safe. So I got a yellow card, went to him at halftime, said, listen, that was nothing personal. I just want you to understand that I need you to keep our players safe. It's important. It's important that the parents, most importantly, I think that the parents know that I am here protecting their kids, right? That's what you want as a parent. You want someone that's going to protect your child. So the parents need to know that I am on their side. The players need to know that I'm on their side always, right? So you can call it whatever you want. You can say that, I am doing it so the parents understand and the players understand that. But at the end of the day, I also care about the players, right? I've known a lot of them for a really long time. So I don't want them to get hurt in a really bad tackle that shouldn't have part in the game. So for me, that was something that happened in the game. It just was. And it'll probably happen again because it's happened in the past that I just absolutely went off. And I will take a yellow card. I have no problem with that. I will take a red card if that's what the ref feels. And honestly, if I was reffing, I would have given me a red card. That's just honestly how I would have done it. But I would have absolutely no regrets with that. I will keep my players safe always. This is youth soccer at the end of the day. So we teach our players how to be safe. That's really important with the shielding. But there are just certain moments, and when it happens twice in a row and the ref doesn't call it, that's when I have an issue in the game. So the team that we played against, their tactics were really good. They played a 3, like I said, 4-1 or a 3-2-3, and I really liked it. I really liked the way they played. Now, the difference between them and us, every time they got the ball, they looked for a pass. For us, our players, there were moments where one of our 2012s dribbled through the whole team. Our 2011 dribbled through 2-3 players. So it's a different type of philosophy. But having said that, I think there's a lot that we could learn from watching our opponents, especially if you're impressed with the way they play. Now, I want to make it clear that I was impressed with them. I don't think that that's a bad thing to admit. I think a lot of coaches are kind of always looking down at other teams. There are teams that I look down on as well. There are just certain teams that I'm sure you don't like. You don't like the way they do things, the way they interact. And I'm the same way. But when I play against teams that are respectful and play their brand of soccer without apologizing, I commend them. Before the game, I spoke to the other coach, came in, and I kind of, because they're from far away, so I asked him what he was doing here. He said, we played in our leagues and we went undefeated and all that, and pretty much what I said was, if that's really what you're looking for, you're probably going to destroy us because we're really just focused on that individual development. He kind of said, oh yeah, we're focused on development and all that in a different way, which is fair. So we played them 1 touch, 2 touch. That was the team that we played against. But what I really liked was it seemed like that they had a better control of the midfield and that there was just less panic in the defensive end. And I think for us, if I look at the 2011s, what we've been struggling with has been defense. We're getting a lot of goals scored on us. We're panicking in the back, and that's just not something that I want from our teams. So watching them play kind of it seemed like that's the direction that we need to go. Not necessarily from the passing point of view, but just from the point of view of helping our defense, helping our goalkeeper. As I mentioned earlier, this is a goalkeeper that's just played goalie. He's 2011. He came to us last year. So he didn't have the benefit that our 2014 goalkeeper had, which is starting off as a player. And now that 2014 has really good passing, control, 1v1s. So you'll see him, and he did this last game, our 2014 goalkeeper. He did a fake shot at a player coming at him while he was in goal, totally faked him out. And that's just what he's capable of with that in his arsenal. Right, so our 2011 is a little bit more panicky on the ball. He's a fantastic goalie and made some fantastic saves, not only in that game, but our Saturday's game as well. He plays up with our 2010. So incredible goalkeeper, just struggling with his feet a little bit, which is something that we're also addressing in our practices too. So I kind of want to give him some more backup. So a back three rather than a 4-3-1, which is really a back two because your fullbacks are part of the attack and don't really have time to get back. So a back three, I think, will really help. And what else happens in a 4-3-1 is that center space is really open because we technically have one player in there, our defensive midfielder. So to bring in another player to really control the center of the field, I think is also going to help us. So I really like that 3-2-2-1 is what I'm actually going to call it. And I'm going to go through that and explain what I've started doing with them this week and just explain the 4-2-2-1 for you guys. So let's talk about it. But I want to start with something really interesting, a trend that I've also been noticing with professional soccer, especially in the English Premier League. What I've noticed watching Manchester City is that sometimes they're playing with a back three. And I've always kind of wondered what that looks like and why the shift in it. And it's a really easy, I think, formation to coach with this back three. And it gives you a lot of cover within something that Pep has struggled with in the past and has since then really been able to overcome that simply, and you can see that as they continue to win, and that's the transition, right? The counterattack. I read his autobiography. It wasn't really an autobiography. It was a book that was written about some guy that followed him. I shouldn't just say some guy. It was a journalist. I don't know. Someone followed him for a year and really got into the dressing room and all that. And it was a really good book that talked about his evolution. And it was at Bayern Munich. And he spoke a lot about the changes that he had to make going from Spain to the German league. And that was one of them, that teams would always get him on the counter. So I think this back three is a really good change for coaches who see a lot of struggles within their defense, getting a lot of goals scored on them. And that's what I'm trying to do with my team. And the reason that we're going from a back two to a back three, so that in situations where hopefully we're going to be a possession-based team, that's what I like. And because of that, when teams win the ball, a lot of our players are up because we commit them up. So it's going to, at the end of the day, lead to a lot of counterattacks, which is what I'm seeing, right? A lot of the goals that are scored on us are on the counter. So with this change in formation, I'm really trying to minimize that, essentially. Now, when we talk about the 3-2-1, 3-2-2-1, I want you to think of zigzags. Okay, so the way that I'm structuring this is we start with the winger, and then we make a straight line to the defender, and then from the defender we make a straight line to the center mid, and then to from that we go backwards to the center defender, and then we go up to the center mid, the other center mid, and then we go backwards again to the defender, and then we go up to the winger. So it's a zigzag kind of motion, right, with those two lines. The way that I'm coaching it is I'm really trying to give the players an understanding of not necessarily the spaces they should be in, but the players and how they should move in relation to other players. So I'll give you an example. The winger does start in the wide space. Okay, we're going to start with the midfield here. Okay, and we'll go into the spaces, and then I'll talk about where the players should be. The one center mid is on one side of the center space. So what that leaves is the half space open. So let's talk about those two players, and we'll talk about them on the left side. So I have a winger on the left side, and then my left side midfielder in the center space. Now, from there, we can talk about the left side defender. And when I talk to the left side defender, what I say is this. Your job is always to be in the middle and behind the winger and the center mid on the left side. That's your job. Then I go and I talk to the center mid on the left side. And I say, your job is to be in between the center defender and the left side defender. And then it's the exact same thing on the other side, right? So the center defender, their job is to be in between the two midfielders, the two center mids. And then the right side center mid, their job is to be between the right side defender and the center mid. The center defender. And then the right side defender, their job is to be between the winger and the right side defender. And then the winger's job is to be in the wide space, right? So that's how I'm coaching it, right? I'm giving the players the understanding of this is who you have to be in between. So whether we're shifting, whatever, and we're moving in relation to the ball, this is where you should be always. So there's a reason why I'm calling this a 3-2-2-1 and not a 3-4-1 or a 3-2-3. It's because the 3 are one part, the 2 are one part, the 2 wingers are the other part, and then the forward is its own part. And they're moving as their role suggests. So the 3 are the defenders. They're moving as defenders. The 2 center mids are moving as 2 center mids. The 2 wingers are moving as wingers. And the forward is moving as a forward. Now, for us, we want to get the ball to the wingers. We want our wingers to attack the goal. We want the forward to support the winger on the strong side. And we want the weak side winger to go far post, just like we do in our 4v4s. So as we move the ball to the wingers, the 2 center midfielders, they actually support, so they kind of stay back. So we end up having a line of 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 3 forwards. And then as soon as we lose that ball, our wingers get in line with the midfielders, and they go into the half space. So then we have a 3-4-1, right? So that's why the wingers themselves are their own number, essentially. So if that's what we want to end up, then the idea is for everyone else to get that ball to the wingers, right? And we can do that a lot by these one-touch, two-touch passing. Now, especially in our half, we should now really be able to do this one-touch, two-touch, which the other team was playing. But it was really hard to watch them play, the other team, because no one stood out. So what I'm trying to figure out still is that balance between how do you have a player stand out when they're just kind of touching the ball once or twice and the players are all at the same level of passing, right? So how do you do that, but also keep the 1v1s? And I think the best way to do that is just alternating wingers and giving players time on the wings and giving the freedom to the center mids also to be that creative 1v1 player when they have that space. So that's something that I'm still working on, but the idea and the understanding of why we're switching, that's clear. We need more help on defense. We want to control the midfield. And this is a better formation for it than having two players back with one center mid, essentially, right? Because we're playing 4-3-1. So those two attacking mids have really been forwards for us. And essentially what's happening is we just have one player in the middle. So that's not good enough. And now we'll be able to have a lot more. And what I'm even thinking about is when we lose the ball to go into a 3-5, right? And maybe even have that forward drop in to create a 5. That's something that I haven't done yet, but I'm thinking about it. So this is still the early stages of the 3-2-2-1, but I want to let you know, and I'll definitely keep you posted on that. It's been very difficult to upload things like diagrams and stuff with just the way the podcast works. It would have to be a link to something else. So I think from now on, I'm just going to use the Facebook group. I'm just going to upload, so for today, for example, since we talked about that 4-3-3, I'm going to upload what that shape actually looks like. And hopefully that'll give listeners, I know I'm not the greatest at explaining, which is, just who I am. I'm trying my best. But hopefully this will help you guys out. So I'll do that probably as I upload the video. As I upload the podcast moving forward. So if you want to join to be able to see that, it's free. It's free. Coaching Soccer Weekly, we're at 94 now, so almost at 100 coaches that have joined. So it's a really growing community, which I'm really proud of. So if you want to be a part of it, I'm really good at letting you in. It's pretty quick too, unless I go to sleep super early. So if you do it at night, then I won't do it till the morning. But a lot of the time, I get the notification on my phone, and I'll just, as soon as I get it, as soon as I see it, you're in. Super simple. Okay. So join that, and that's it. This weekend, all of our teams are playing except for our 2011-12 team. That team has a very, very long break. I don't think they're playing again until January, to like the end of January. So it gives us a lot of time to really perfect that 3-4-1. And I'm really excited for Sunday because we've been doing a lot of work with the 2014s on shape. Now, with the Division 3 that we're in, they're doing really well. But Division 2, which is where we're going into in the new year, that's going to be a lot harder. So they really need that structure and that ball movement to understand what to do when we're playing these harder teams that we're not just dribbling by. So I'm excited for that as well, to try and get them into that shape and really understanding that movement, the ball. I might even put in restrictions during the game. This is a team that we've beaten before, like I think it was like 6-1 or something like that. So I think I might put restrictions that they have to pass the ball 10 times in the opponent's half just to understand the shape, just to understand how to move the ball from side to side. I might put a restriction in the second half. The ball has to go from one side to the other 3 times before we score. These guys are 1v1 masters. There is no team, I'm very confident in that can beat us in that 1v1. How do I know that? Because those 2014s are beating our 2013s and 2012 players in 1v1s. So these kids are fantastic, but their understanding of the game, which is fair because they're only 9, 8, and 7, that's tough. So That's what we're going to be working on for them. Our 2010 team has a game, and our 2013 has a game as well. So, yeah, I'll keep you posted and let you know. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of Coaching Soccer Weekly. I think it's really important to watch your opponents and analyze what they're doing. And if you like what they're doing, there's nothing wrong with saying, wow, I want to somehow implement a part of that with what I'm doing with my teams. There's no shame in that. A lot of the time we go into games, and I'm very guilty of it, just kind of looking down on the other team. But a lot of the time, they're doing some good things as well. So if you can take the good things and keep your good things, then I think good times good makes excellent. I'm not sure, but hopefully it does. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the show this week, and until next week, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the World Cup. Coaching Soccer Weekly is a production of World Class Coaching. All rights reserved.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.